Good Sunday morning on March 28th, 2021. I'm back. And it's such a nice morning and my knee's feeling a little better. I think I'm going to do the traditional Regina walk around Wascana Lake. I've done it once before, and I will do it again because it is kind of the traditional Regina walk. It's about 5K around, so it'll probably take me about an hour, a little less, maybe, if I walk briskly. Beautiful morning. If you were with me yesterday, you saw that there was snow on the ground. There's very little of that left in the shade. Most of the snow is snow that was already left from the winter. It hasn't quite melted out of the shade yet. Our backyard still has quite a bit in it, but it's going down. It's supposed to be very warm today. It's currently +6, which is nice. But it's up and down. Today, Monday, it's supposed to get some snow. They've downgraded it. They were saying 5 to 10 centimeters. Now it's just a couple of centimeters. But a cold wind and dropping temperatures, and then Tuesday's supposed to be well below freezing again before it warms up again after that. So March is kind of going out like a lion instead of coming in like a lion and going out like a lamb. I don't actually remember what it was doing at the beginning of the month weather-wise. There is traffic on this high alley occasionally. So we're heading to the crosswalk to get across Albert Street. That's a bit out of the way, but just to be different, I'll go up the crescent here a little further. It kind of bends the wrong way, but don't mind a little extra. And always looking for places I haven't walked yet. These houses are interesting because they sit at an angle because of the crescent. Instead of flat to the facing directly to the crescent, they all sit at this kind of jaunty angle. Yeah, and if you happen to be watching this live, if you leave a comment, I'll see it and maybe be able to respond if I can read it. So the Kickstarter for Shapers of Worlds, Volume 2, featuring short stories by authors who were guests of the second year of my podcast, The World Shapers. Is going along nicely. Yesterday was a good day. We're just, as I set out this morning, $23 shy of being 75% funded. Cut across the grass here, which will be $11,250 of the $15,000 I'm looking for. So looking promising. Still a little more than 10 days to go. Ahead of last year, when I kickstarted Volume 1, I was at 70% with just 5 days to go. So I'm already well past that. Don't know how many people we'll find around the lake today in the morning. It can be quite busy. They've still got it, everybody walking in one direction, which I think is silly. There's risk of outdoor transmission is so tiny, if it even exists, barring standing and talking to somebody face to face for some time. But That's the rules, so I will follow them, even though I am seeing more and more people not bothering. There's the some of the houses on here. Nice houses, but you have Albert Street right here, which is, of course, the noisiest, busiest street in town. So we'll cross up the light up here. Anybody up this morning? Say hi. I may regret even wearing my jacket. It's so warm. We're getting so warm already from the walking. I think my knee is bothering me a little less. So maybe it's getting tougher as I continue to walk. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to stop unless it gets a lot worse. So I'll say that for sure. Speaking of jaywalking. Wascana Lake, of course, is the scene of some of my books, so I've mentioned them on the previous walk around. I will again. One of these days I'm going to do a walk that focuses on Charles of Excalibur's and the scenes, the sites where the scenes take place in this area. I'm pretty specific about some things. Some of it's kind of made up, but I know where it is more or less. There's the lake, still frozen, but more open water in the middle I see there. At least one big patch of it. This is Wascana Lake, artificial lake in the heart of Regina. It's formed by the dam, which is where the bridge is over there. There's a spillway, then that takes you along the creek, where I've walked many times. Seeing quite a few more people out here this morning than the last time I did this, for sure. Hope they don't mind if I talk to myself. Legislative building, of course, is over there. More open water in the middle. Very bright with the sun on the ice still. This is all part of the same pathway as I've been on like yesterday when I walked along the creek. It's called the Devonian Pathway. There's also this path around the creek, around the lake. But on the other side, this carries on past the Canexis Art Center and then takes you to the university and further. Oh, lots of people out this morning. One of these days I'll park at the Center of the Arts and walk around the university. That'll all turn into open water sometime soon, but we're not there yet. A gazebo over here on the left. I performed in there, and I went to a wedding there once too. Back when I was in a cappella group called Midnight Sun, we performed there once because they often have local groups will perform there during the summer. Or at least they did. I presume they still do. And then I was at a wedding, which was an interesting wedding because the groom was part of the dry bikers, non-drinking motorcyclists. And the bride was from Regina Lake Musical Theatre, Regina Lake Light Opera then. So it was a mixture of musical theatre types and bikers. But because they were dry bikers, it was the musical theatre types doing all the drinking. Better look at the gazebo there. We'll go out here while we get to the lake. Not worried about thin ice out in the middle. But I don't think I would step onto it just now. There's the ledge again over there. We call it the ledge. Might as well open my jacket now and avoid the rush. It's getting warm. And if you happen to be on Facebook watching this or catching bits of it, just leave me a comment so I know you're there. It's always cool. Hear the geese. Somewhere there's a lot of them. Over there by Willow Island, I think. This is what's on the other side here, just nice parkland. And it is nice, but it's always covered in goose poop because of Canada geese. And interestingly, they're so associated with Wascana Lake, but they didn't actually overwinter here at one time. I wrote a little book that's in the Science Center, picture book illustrated by Ward Shell, I think. And it's basically one pair of geese. And we have lots more than one pair of geese, but they were down to one pair of geese. Geese, well, they still don't. They can overwinter. Let's see, do geese need open water or is it ducks need open water? Maybe it's the ducks need open water. Seems like they're here all the time. Anyway, there was a couple called, I think they were called Queenie and Hiawatha, if I remember the little booklet right, which I wrote about. And they were kind of the geese for our current plague of geese. I have nothing against them except they do poop everywhere. They do a roundup every year and remove some of them. Won't be long before there'll be little baby geese and then teenage geese that you'll run into when you're out here walking. They're kind of cute. No comments yet, but if you happen to be seeing this, please leave one. Over there is the back of the Conservatory of Performing Arts, which was recently refurbished, renovated. And then Willow Island over here figures into my Shards of Excalibur. Almost got run over by that cyclist who wasn't paying much attention. Riding two abreast. Willow Island over there is where, spoiler alert, but at the end of the book, Shards of Excalibur, Excalibur gets thrown into the water just off of Willow Island there. So if you want to come look for it sometime, bring your scuba gear. And the whole story begins just down at this end when the, I think this is dry enough now, we'll cut through here. Begins down here when the Lady of the Lake from King Arthur shows up in Wascana Lake. And my character, Arianne Forsyth, whose mother disappeared under mysterious circumstances, has been fostered with her aunt now. She's in trouble at school for, well, basically she's in trouble for fighting after she was picked on. She walks down here early one morning after she's been suspended, but she doesn't want to tell her aunt that. And she hears singing in the water here, just through these bushes. And sees this staircase going down into the water. And she walks down it. Obviously it's magical. And there's a compartment at the bottom. And the Lady of the Lake is there. A lady made out of water when she meets her. And there's this younger boy who just happens to be by, who sees this falling night. He follows her down there. And the two of them are given a quest to find the scattered shards of Excalibur before Merlin can. this all happens right here. Merlin in his modern day guise is Rex Major, who's like a Steve Jobs, Bill Gates kind of computer magnate. And that launches the 5-book series. Ariane is heir to the power of the Lady of the Lake. She'll accept it. And that power lets her do things with water, and even to transport herself through water. First through liquid water, then she discovers she can also do it from the clouds. And that's how I get my characters, who are like 15 years old, all around the world. Let's stop up here to give a panorama of the lake from Willow Point to look out here. So we just walked along there, and that's Willow Island. You can hear the geese. And the lake continues, as will we, down this side. This will be prettier as I continue doing it for the next few weeks as it gets green. And very pretty in the fall too, when it starts changing color. And I assume I will continue doing these walks, so I'm sure I'll be along here many more times. Still haven't had any comments yet from anybody, but I hope if anybody's watching this live, you'll drop me a note. If you're watching this recorded, thanks for watching. As I often mention, this was inspired by a YouTuber called Walking Commuter, and he does exactly what I'm doing, only he does it in Manhattan. So perhaps there's more general interest because he has some, what was the number I saw? 30-some thousand subscribers to his YouTube channel, and he gets money from it, from people leaving him super chats and things like that. Oh, there's Callie, a regular here. Yes, thank you. Callie says she loves the books, Cards of Excalibur. I love them too. And they are available from Shadowpaw Press in ebook, new ebook editions, shadowpawpress.com. They're $3.99 each, so not expensive. You can also get the print editions, the Kato Books print editions. Kato Books went out of business. I will bring out new print editions at some point, but I have a lot of stock of the Kato Books edition, so for the moment I'm just selling those. There hasn't been much urge because while I do sell books in person at Sask Expo, that kind of places, I set up a table and I can sell quite a few books at them usually. On a 2-day convention, I'll usually sell anywhere from $750 to $1,000 worth of books, which makes me a little money. The expenses have to be figured in too. But it's good exposure though. But of course, none of that is happening. That over there is the Queen building, HMCS Queen. Naval cadets train there. And so it's treated like a ship. And of course, always on the right is the Legislative Building, looking nicely lit up on this side in the sun. It was cool when they redid the dome a few years ago. And for one summer, it was bright copper, which was interesting. And then it gradually tarnished back down to its usual black. Apparently the color that copper turns depends on the climate. So in Ottawa, copper roofs on the Parliament buildings, for example, are green. But here, maybe not quite black. Maybe it's a very dark greeny black, but still very dark. Also known as the Marble Palace. As I said last time I walked, the other books that have featured Wascana Lake in a fashion, the other book was my fantasy novel Magebane, longest book I've ever written, 150,000 words. It's a standalone fantasy novel. It was written under my pseudonym Lee Arthur Chain, which is the middle names of my two older brothers and me, Jimmy Lee Willett, Dwight Arthur Willett, and I'm Edward Chain Willett. My parents made up Chain. Was told that they had seen the movie Shane, the Western, and I was coming along and they wanted me to have the same initials as my grandfather, E.C. Willett, but his name was Ewan Chambers Willett. And here, we'll go down here for a change this time. And I didn't walk this way last time. So I became Edward Chain Willett. They just changed one letter from Shane, and I became a Chain. It doesn't seem to exist anywhere except in me, except I think it might be a surname in Thailand. But if you do a search for it, you don't get many Chains. You mainly get Lee Arthur Chain. So it's quite unique, and I like the pseudonym, but it hasn't been used again. My next pseudonym was E.C. Blake, so I had the initials again, and that was for the Masks of Agrima trilogy, but E.C. does not stand for anything. It's just initials because it's a pseudonym. I've never had to assign an actual name to it. We came down here before. We were up there on the overlook. We'll stay down here closer to the lake this time. It's a little further, but what the heck. There's a ledge, and there is some open water there now. So in Magebane, it's set in a kingdom where 800 years ago, I believe it was, maybe 400, I can't remember which I decided on. All the magic users in the world fled to this isolated place, other side of the world from where they were from. They were called mage lords, and they had ruled, because of their magical ability, over non-magical people. But somebody arose called the Magebane, and he was able to defeat them and would have destroyed them if they hadn't fled. So they all fled to the other side of the world, to a place that has the same geography as Saskatchewan. And they set up a new kingdom, and they built a great barrier around it to keep out anybody else. So for all these centuries, the mage lords have had a kingdom, very totalitarian kingdom, with the mage lords ruling over the non-magic users. And within that kingdom, the palace is located on the southern side of a lake and made out of marble. Looks like the legislative building over there. And within that, well, around that, there's a lesser barrier, not that big, but it's for the royal family and the court and all that. And it keeps everybody out, but it also ensures that around the palace, it's always spring. And that dome, that lesser dome, would encompass Wascana Lake. And I looked it up once. If it were real, that dome within which it is always spring would also encompass my house. So it's a bit of wish fulfillment, I think. So that was Magebane. It's still available in ebook, and some paperbacks might still be around. I have some. I may have all that are left. I don't know. But it is available as an ebook. Lee Arthur Chain. I was just reading this morning a review. I had forgotten of it. Right. Let's see. I guess we have to go through across the dirt here. Hopefully it's not too muddy. This up here is the Willow's restaurant, and that's the nicest deck in Regina up there, looking out over the lake. And this is where we are, where I'm walking through the somewhat muddy land, is where the canoeing club, rowing club hangs out. So that's their building there. And often there are canoes lined up here, stacked up here. Nice playground. Canada Games, Wascana Lake Center. We have the Canada Games here. And then this is also the marina. So up here is where if you had a boat along here, you could land it. Okay, that was a bit of a out of the way, certainly not the shortest way to get to where we're about to be, but There we go. Oh, it's called the Bar Willow now. That's what it's called. And once restaurants are open again, currently everything's closed to in-person dining because we have a kind of a high number of cases here right now. Once that reopens this summer, hope to be there and eating on that deck. I often come there for birthdays because it's so nice. So here's the marina where you can land a boat. They have the dragon boat races here. They all start from down here.
Yeah, I find myself taking the gimbal.
The shoe's getting a little loose. I hope I don't have to stop and tie it. That's awkward with the gimbal. I think I've set new stories over on this side. So the tall building on the other side, over there in the distance, is the Canexis Art Center, our main performance space where, musicals come and things like that. The first one I saw, first really professional musical I saw was Cats when it toured here the first time. It's been here many times since then. Saw things like Kinky Boots there, and Wicked, saw Wicked in Saskatoon, not here. Jersey Boys, I think. A few other things over the years. And I performed on that stage myself many times. And I've directed a show that was up there. I've sung with the symphony as part of a choir. I've narrated symphony concerts. I've been in operas that were on that stage. I said I directed a show for the Lutherans that was on that stage. It was interesting because it's big. There's the geese, not worried about the thin ice. Now, if you were carrying on the Devonian Pathway, you would go under the bridge here and carry on around Center of the Arts, and that would take you to the university eventually, which is why I think sometime I'll come park at the Canexis Art Center. Center of the Arts is the old name for it. And walk from there to the university and around for a change. The island over there has a waterfall on it once everything is thawed out for aeration purposes. There's the bridge. Goes the other way. And again, I don't think I'd want to go under it right now. It looks like there's still a lot of water down there. Yeah, it's flooded. Can't tell how deep, but deeper than I'd want to wade in. Direction at the lake, Center of the Arts, the legislative building over there. Didn't do any writing on the Tangled Stars yesterday, but that will start up again tomorrow, if not today. But today I'm still working on my podcast. I want to get one out this afternoon. Recording is done, and it's the transcript that takes all the time. And today it's Mark Everglade, will be my featured author. Writes cyberpunk, which is cool. He's an interesting guy to talk to. And I'm interviewing somebody this week, and I have one in hand, so I'm good for a month, and I have others lined up, or I'm working on lining them up, so that's always comes along. There's the geese. We're now on the south side of the lake, so we're turning the corner and heading home now, but a ways to go yet. So over there's the marina where we just were, and the little bridge we just walked over back there. And again, if you're watching this live on YouTube or Facebook, leave me a note, and I should be able to read it right now. Light's not too bad on the screen. I'm not entirely talking to myself. These are picking up a few views on YouTube every day. 20 or so maybe at the most. And there's more on Facebook that see it after the fact. The cool one was yesterday, somebody on Facebook saw it and asked me about the equipment I was using and so forth, because she wants to start doing it. She's an inveterate walker and a rider, and she's been looking for something that could, a new social media thing she could do, and she was really taken with this. So Rhea Rose is her name, and hopefully she'll start doing this, and you can find her at some point. And again, the guy that inspired it was a fellow named Walking Commuter. You can find his channel on YouTube and walk with him around Manhattan. I think I'm gonna have to stop and tie my shoe. So things may go a little wonky here for a minute. Here I am. Okay, we'll get the gimbal going again here. Hello. Now we'll turn it the other way. It's trying to find its way around here. There we go. Hopefully I didn't lose anybody while I did that. I might edit that before I put it on YouTube recording. But if you're watching it live, you saw the action. Okay, off we go again. Now with a shoe that is not coming undone. There's another footbridge, and someday I'll walk over there too. There's geese under it at the moment. There's a nice little walk around that. That's called Pine Island there. People come here and feed the geese quite often. Don't really think they need it, and it may not be good for them, but I've done it. Quite a lot of them down there. I was jogging last year before the snow came, but I don't think my knee will take it, so probably not a good idea. Way more people out here than the last time I walked around the lake. A view of the ledge. Lovely day though, the sun shining. And there might be a hint of green showing up in the grass. It looks to me like there is, so that's the first thing that starts to green. You start to see little sprouts. Yeah, it's hard to be sure, but I think there might be some green in that grass. Not a lot of action on the budding out front though. I've walked around this lake so many times since moving to Regina. Riding my bike around it. at least see lost mittens along here. That's Wascana Rehab over there. I walked by there someday. I performed there, of all things, years ago. I went in and did a few numbers for the people who were there, the patients, and one of the songs that I liked to do at the time was Don't Get Around Much Anymore, and it occurred to me belatedly that might not be the best song to do for a rehab center, but nobody complained. You know, it's Miss the Saturday Dance, would have gone but what for, awfully different without you, don't get around much anymore. But I'm getting around still, even at my advanced age, coming up on 62 in July. Last night we watched Do It With Class's performance. That's the Young People's Theatre Company my daughter was in for a long time. Their performance of As You Like It from last February. And the last two shows they did before you couldn't do them anymore. Matilda was the last one, and literally under the wire there just before the lockdowns, or not exactly lockdowns, but banning of groups like that. Banning of audiences, really, not the groups. Anyway, that of course is the Shakespeare play that has All the World's a Stage monologue in it. And one man in his time plays many parts, those parts being 7, and then he lists them. And it's a little depressing to realize you're getting very close to, certainly you're in part 5, and you can see part 6 from here. But not today. Today I'm still walking without a cane, and my shanks have not withered, and my voice has not become piping like a young boy's again. Although I can put that on if I need to. I suspect I won't sound anything like that when I'm really old, given my physiology, which is big and barrel-chested, but I guess I'll find out. It's more of the park. There's a totem pole over here. Don't remember the story behind it, and I'm not going to walk over there right now, but someday I'll walk up there. Oh, I'm working up a sweat, as I knew I would. So far, Callie's the only one who said hi. If anybody else is watching this live on Facebook, leave a comment and I'll see it. If you're watching it on YouTube, ditto. I had somebody the other day, I don't know where they were from. They didn't know where Regina was, and they were quite startled by how empty the streets were. Of course, it was in the morning. I was in the warehouse district and nothing was open there. It's where all the, it's mostly bars and nightclubs along Dudney Avenue where I was walking, and a few stores and things, but they wouldn't have been open even if they could be open. And it's not a lot of foot traffic there otherwise. But even downtown, it was quite empty. So it looks quite striking if you're used to bigger cities. Some more statues in the woods over there. I'm not the only one talking to myself. Now, last time I walked that way. This time I will continue following the path. Makes it a slightly longer walk, but that's okay. It's a nice day and it's good exercise. You can see you're encouraging people to walk in one direction. I think that's silly, and I thought it's silly from the very beginning. I don't imagine for 1 second that that has prevented a single infection. But I'm a good boy, I am. I have seen a few people walk the other way. More in the grocery stores. In our grocery store, there's often carts will come the wrong way down one of the aisles. Doesn't concern me, but I do try to follow the arrows. I was brought up to obey the rules. I don't think that's a bad thing. For the most part, I can imagine some rules that would be a bad thing to obey. I don't think we're there yet. And that's the memorial to the Ukrainian genocide under Stalin. I'll look at that again someday when I'm in mountain. Focus quite so much on just getting around the lake and getting back to my podcast. Whew, I wish I hadn't worn my jacket at all. I have a sweater and then a leather jacket, and it's just the right level of jacket on a cool day, or even a couple of degrees below freezing. Walking, it needs to be a lot cooler than it is, I've discovered today. So next time it says it's 6 degrees, I'll just wear my sweater. It's a little chilly to start with, but it warms up quickly. It's a real parade here of people this morning. Now, somewhere along here, not too far, I didn't have a precise place in mind. There is a scene in Twist of the Blade, I guess, when Marianne learns that she can transport herself and Wally through the clouds. Her first trip is to Winnipeg, and then she comes back, and she has to have enough water, deep enough water, to materialize in. Basically, she has to be able to displace as much water as she displaces. So she actually materializes in Wascana Lake, right along here somewhere, maybe a little further up, and startles a small girl who's feeding the geese. I think she says she fell in, is her excuse. Now, fortunately, her power over water also lets her just order all the water off of her body to make her instantly dry, but it still leaves behind whatever was in the water. And if you were in Wascana Lake, that'd probably be dirt and algae and dissolved bird poop, so it doesn't really bear thinking about. There's some gulls as opposed to geese, and some geese too, and a duck. You can play duck, duck, goose in Wascana Park, Wascana Center, all day. And there are interpretive panels along the way. They're starting to fade. I always wonder about that. There must be some way to make things that don't weather the way that they always seem to weather. Like everybody's coming down to the park today. And there's a nice view of city skyline over there, such as it is. You know, it's not much of a skyline when trees between you and it can start to hide it at such a short distance. I think our tallest building's about 20 stories. And the ledge, of course, is over there on my left. These are, when they have the fireworks, they go off from Willow Island back there. And people will gather all along the shores to watch. We usually watch from the bridge, which they shut off, make pedestrians only for the fireworks. You see a great view out over the lake with the reflection, and hear the poor geese complaining about the noise in the gunpowder smoke, not gunsmoke. Gunsmoke with James Arness, says Matt Dillon. I'm old enough to remember that being on television. My parents remembered it being on radio. Just one comment so far. Guess everybody's out enjoying their weather wherever they are, or they're still asleep. But again, this is as much for the recording as for the live stream. Live stream is nice, and I do enjoy getting comments that I can respond to. And hopefully, if I continue doing this and it picks up more viewers, I'll get more of that. But recording exists forever. So people could discover this long time from now. And beyond that, its main purpose is to keep me walking, because I find it a great incentive to get out and walk. Rather than forcing myself to walk, I think, oh, I have to do that live stream. Where can I walk today? So it's great for that. You can see the bridge up there now. And on the other side of it is where we are going. Home on the range, where the geese and the ducks like to play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. They are sometimes, but not today. I thought we were supposed to have a risk of rain today, but no sign of it. As I said, Monday it's going to rain and snow, apparently, and get much colder for a day. I think today it's supposed to go to 14 or something, which is why I'm sweating. We're not there yet, but it's headed that way. Just a little further.
If you guys miss it, we can get all the way around.
Danger thin ice, that's for sure. It won't be long till it all turns to water. Well, except we have a freezing cold day coming up on Tuesday. We'd go up that way and cross over, but that would take me a little further out of the way as well. Because I'd have to go to that footbridge I've crossed many times to get back across and then work my way back to my corner. So we'll stick to the lake. Now, having sung a little bit of Home on the Range, the song is stuck in my head. Again, I don't know why there are Greek flags with the Canadian flags on the bridge right now. I keep meaning to see if I can figure that out. So this central part of the bridge is where the dam itself is. That creates the lake. So really, this is all the bridge you need. Albert Street Bridge is quite grand for the creek that it crosses. There's the spillway. You can probably hear it. When this thaws, there'll be birds. Open water on the other side there now. Very close now. How long have I been walking? I can't quite see. 50 some minutes again, I think. All my walks seem to be pretty close. I don't consciously set out to make them around an hour, but mostly they are. A few have been a bit shorter. I think we can go down there without stepping in a puddle. Get back, check the Kickstarter to see if it's gone up again while I was out. The next pledge should put it over $11,250, which is 75% of my $15,000 goal. There's usually a surge at the end, and I'm ahead of where I was last Kickstarter, which funded in the last 5 days. It was at 70% with 5 days to go, and it funded and then some, so I'm very hopeful that this one will fund as well, and I can create this anthology with 24 stories, 18 brand new ones from major authors, and 6 reprints. Check it out at tinyurl.com/Shapers of Worlds 2, or just go to Kickstarter and search up Shapers of Worlds 2, Volume 2. All right. Oop, I think we can jaywalk this time. Pretty empty in both directions. It did change almost as soon as I stepped off the curb. It's your last chance to say hello if you've been watching. Give me a comment and I'll know you've been there. And if you're not and you're watching this recorded, well, I hope you've enjoyed that walk around Wascana Lake, which I will do many more times in the future, I'm sure, as it gets greener and prettier and warmer. Although it's plenty warm right now after that exertion. Oh, I forgot to mention, right back there, down that little cul-de-sac, that's Harrington Mews, and that's where Wally Knight lives in the Shards of Excalibur, in a house down at the other end right by the dike. Not a real house. The house I described is not like what is there, but that's the location of it. And a few things happen there. He has a swimming pool, which comes in handy, and he has a sister who's one of the, to start with, is one of the villains. Really hates Ariane and falls in with Rex Major at one point, and well, I can't say what happens, but I was very satisfied with the conclusion. This is Angus Boulevard, which leads to Angus Crescent after I go through the alley up there. Angus Crescent connects at one end to Angus Street, which runs on up through most of the city. This is why occasionally we get misdelivered things. Usually something that should have gone to Angus Street ends up with us. And I don't know, but I suspect things meant for Angus Crescent have occasionally, well, I don't know if there is a one. If there is a Angus Street address that corresponds to ours on Angus Crescent. If there were, I think it'd be way up north somewhere. Because we're all in the double and triple digits is all on the Crescent. I don't know if it starts at 2 or what it starts at down to the one end. Or 1, I don't really know. Okay. Across here through the alley, we'll be on Angus Crescent. This is Leopold Crescent. Nobody coming. I think I'm still under an hour. Might just hit an hour before I get to the door. But and of course, ahead of us is the brick building in the distance is Javin School, where Alice went to school. Our daughter. It was very handy. Literally, her friends could be in the playground talking to her when she was standing on our back porch. Shouting at her, maybe, but it could be done. The playground is right across the alley from us. Seeing that reminds me it's garbage pickup day. Or tomorrow is, so I gotta get the garbage out today. They've only been doing it every 2 weeks in the cold weather. I don't know when they go to one weekly pickup. It'll be pretty soon because it's getting warm. You can get away with it in the winter because it's so cold. Frozen garbage is not a problem, but hot garbage is. Almost there. Last chance, if you're there, say hi before I turn it off. So this is the corner up here that has the stop sign where I usually stop. So I will stop right about here. And thank you for watching. If you do happen to be there live but didn't say anything, hope you enjoyed the walk. And if you're watching the recording, I hope you enjoyed the walk. Just a little under an hour. I thought it'd be a little more than that. Okay, thanks so much, and I'll be back.